In this video, we're going to talk through the honest, truthful reason why you don't get spin with your wedges around the greens. Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. So why don't you do it? Because I hear so many rumours about why people can't get spin. I've seen so many people who've watched YouTube videos on how to get more spin, and a lot of it doesn't really work. A lot of it, people think, oh well, the tour pros have softer golf balls, they have deeper grooves, that's why they get more spin. That is incorrect. If you play with a high quality golf professional, they'll be able to spin it with an old wedge and a top flight ball. It's all about a couple of factors which we're going to talk about in this video for you. So one of the big things that I see is poor contact. You're never going to get spin on a golf ball if you don't get good contact. So for me, that was pretty good. You'll see that stopped quite quickly. We are on an upslope here, and this is the number one thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the ball being here, then a tiny bit of turf interaction there. I'm not looking for a big steep divot. I'm not looking to get the club right down onto the ball. That's one thing which I'm not actually going to do today and show you what not to do, because I'm not ruining the surround on this beautiful green. But so many people say, oh, to get spin you want to make sure you've got the ball back in the stance, you want to make sure you've got the handle forward, and then you're going to hit down on the ball and you're going to make sure that you trap the ball between the club and the turf. That's not the way to get spin. That's not how you do it. That's not how you release a club. If you do that, you're more likely to duff it than try and get spin. So how did I get that strike initially? What I'm going to do, make sure the ball position is first in the right place. So I'm going to have it in the middle of my stance here. I'm not going to have it too far back. I'm certainly not going to have it too far forward, because that's going to pop the ball up in the air. And there's a big misconception about when people get a ball to land quickly. A lot of the time it's actually landing angle that does that and not spin. So the ball is bang smack in the middle of my stance here. Obviously the line needs to be good. If you get grass between the club and the ball, that's going to get in the grooves, that's going to stop the ball spinning as well. I'm going to have a tiny bit of forward shaft lean on that shaft. It's pretty much going to be nice and neutral. I'm not having it massively forward, but I've just got plenty of loft on there. The key here as well is to keep that weight on your left side. If you move your weight to your right hand side, you really have to work on releasing that club to get it anywhere near the ball. You're not going to generate lots of spin. If you do, it'll be pot luck and you won't be able to repeat it. The big thing here is repeating that shot. I once heard John Daly say, how far do you hit your driver? And someone said 240. He said, why do you want to learn how the ball, and he said, why do you want to learn for the ball to go backwards? It's really important for you to figure out exactly what shot you're trying to play, because a lot of the time when people generate spin, it actually works against them. We've got an uphill chip here of about 20 yards, and I see so many people who would try and generate some spin here. You get a nice shot and then it checks up and it's like, oh, well, that's now 7 feet short. If it wouldn't have spun, I would have been a lot closer. Again, I've got nice contact there. That's exactly what I'm working on. So the ball position was correct. I've made sure that I've rotated the club nicely on the way back. I haven't taken it back where the loft is pointing too much at the ball, so it's really, really closed. I haven't fanned it open massively. The club face is just staying nice and square to my body. Then on the way through, I can make sure that as I turn through the ball, I release the club nicely. So again, that club face is matching my spine angle here. I haven't flipped it too much, so it's really, really closed and the toes up in the air. I haven't driven it forward, so the club face is really, really open. I'm making sure that club releases nicely. I almost feel like it's working up quite quickly after it's hit its low point. That's a really, really nice way for me to know that I'm going to generate the correct strike. I want to get nice and shallow through the ball, then let the club work up and around my body. So hopefully then you can play a nice spinny shot into the flag, like that one. That should dig its heels in quite quickly. Guys, Chris is now going to dispel a few myths on how you can get more spin, how you can chip it closer, and ultimately how you can lower your scores and get good at golf. Okay, so the next thing we need to think about is what club we are using. So you see this is a very common setup here, 50, 56 and 60. A lot of people like James Robinson normally go straight for the 60, although there he was playing with his 56, which on this occasion is the right club. But also we start to see this, so how many people, so how many people have the grooves just like that? So not been clean for a while. Can we get spin if the grooves are dirty? We're not going to get much spin. We're not going to get much spin as it is, especially out of that one as well. We've just been doing videos, in fairness, that's why it's,
He'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get much spin off that. If we've got dirt in the grooves, if the grass is a little bit wet, if there's obviously grass in between the face and the ball, all factors that are going to stop us from getting too much spin. But it's essential to pick the correct club out of here. A lot of people go to the 60 and they think, right, I've been told if I get more speed, that means I'm going to get more spin, and if I've got more loft, it's going to go higher and it's going to spin back. That's incorrect. What we're going to start to see is people will get a lot of loft on there, they will get their hands at it, even with a drop kick, and it just runs on. It's very hard for me to get the right kind of impact there. It's very hard to get my low point consistent, and that's the main thing. As well, what's going to happen with a 60 to a certain extent is that this golf club has obviously got more loft. The ball is going to tend to slide more up the face, as opposed to if you think if I go for a 56 here, it has a little bit more time to grip the face, and that's the main thing. We then go down to the 50, we're going to start to see the opposite. So we're going to start to see that, right, we might not get any spin, but it's going to run out a little bit further. I can play the same motion, but I know from there we're not going to get any spin, and that's going to release. So it's about picking the right club for your shot, but to optimize your spin, you need to think, right, it's going to run up my 60, it's going to come off too quick on my 50 potentially, so if my 56 or my 54 is the right club for this shot. And I've picked up the 60, so not a good start. But then from there, exactly like James said, we're going to try and get that set up consistent, ball position in the middle, and make a nice neutral motion. But if you speak to most tour players, they don't rely on spin too much. So why would you try and rely on it if you're a mid-handicap golfer? If you're trying to rely on that spin, you'll get exactly what James said. You get that one that checks up, oh, I've nipped that perfect. But now I've got a 10-footer for par, I missed that and I bogeyed it, but you'll be telling your friends you've got a bit of spin on your chips. We want you to get the club that's going to be the most consistent, the one where we can decide how it's going to land and how it's going to roll out, and whichever's going to make your short game as easy as possible and help you get good at golf.